partnerships never survive is because it is that intensity.
You need to know yourself inside out. You need to know how you operate.
What is your superpower?
I'm not right, I'm not wrong, nor is anybody else in that situation.
What are we talking about today? We are talking about
partnerships, I think, and how I think you can open this conversation up into, if you haven't necessarily got a business partner, maybe like when you're bringing on staff, essentially like how do you work with another human being in your business?
Okay.
So it kind of got prompted because at an event we've attended recently, there were not very many in the grand scheme of things, but there was definitely like one or two partner type businesses that have come up.
What event is this?
Edition Dog.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, there was some of that event. And when we've done events historically as well, there've been people that have come up that are business partners, and they're like, how do you do all the stuff that you do, meaning us? And it just got me thinking, it's a skill and it's a journey. And I think there's loads of transferable elements from this. So not only from working with somebody as intensely as it can be, but also even like transfer that into your client relationships a bit as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think looking at it specifically from the business angle, if you are working in partnership with someone, we're going to strip it back and we're going to lay it all bare and talk through how we found working with each other, because we worked on our own individually for so many years that coming together, oh God, I've got a tickle in my throat. Coming together is obviously something really different, and loads of challenges got thrown up from that. How did you find it when we first started?
Basically, I think it all starts with having a shared vision, wanting the same thing. Like that's the number one of any kind of partnership, isn't it? Because if you don't have that, you don't have the foundation to build off of in the first place. So I think getting really clear on that vision. So it was really apparent that although we were local dog trainers within a 30-minute radius, both doing the same thing, we approached it very differently. So there's two different things in a way. Like you've got your approach, I've got mine, came together, worked together. And then having that kind of realization that there's bigger things here, like there's more that we want to do in this industry. I think that for me was that's how I know you're the right person, because we want to achieve the same thing. Didn't really have the clarity around how we were going to do that at that point. That's the whole journey we've gone on. But I think that is the thing that you go, right, we've got the same outcome that we want from this. But now we've got to try and negotiate the differences in our personalities to be able to work with the strengths and weaknesses that we've got.
Yeah.
And the different personality types that we are. And I think that you never know somebody until you either live with them or you have to be, it's the honesty and transparency around it. And for me, I think that was the starting point of how we started discovering about each other's strengths and weaknesses and personality types, because it was that you have to keep talking, and we did.
Yeah. I actually think it's more intense than a marriage.
Yeah, yeah. Because it can be make or break to whether that business works. And I think this is why maybe a lot of partnerships never survive, is because it is that intensity.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people are as honest as they should be at the beginning.
No. That's really interesting. I do apologise, everybody. I've got a real tickle in my throat, so lots of noises coming out. I do think we were and have been really fortunate, and I always joke about it, but it's that whole universal like, I genuinely believe that you and I were meant to meet and we were like destined to do this, because it just doesn't make sense to me how it would happen any other way. Yeah. And, you know, in hindsight, I don't think we ever actually sat down and divvied up roles as such.
Never happened like that.
I don't think we ever actually
because I don't think it would have worked like that, because we didn't know enough about each other to do that. It's almost like it was a bit of testing and trialing, like we always tell people to do in their businesses, and go like, try this thing out, see if that works, you know, but in a strategic way, not in a just throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks way.
Yeah.
But I think that I don't think we're in a position to do that at the beginning.
No. And coming back to like the differences in personality, and I think even the stage of life we were both at in terms of the businesses and kind of what we were looking for and all of that, because for me, there was no questions. I was like, as soon as I met you, I was like, right, I'm all in. Like, there is a ring going on that finger and it's happening. We're going to do it. And you wasn't quite there yet.
No.
And when we were talking about creating what is now K9 Business Academy, there was that excitement around that, but there was still that hesitation. And then as that kind of evolved a little bit, and, you know, we were still not 100% clear on the exact direction. Like, we had the ultimate vision, I suppose, but not the steps then. And we were focusing on the dog training business. And then it made, again, like logical sense, merge it. We're spending all this time, because technically we were trying to run 3 businesses between the 2 of us. And logically, it just didn't make sense, because something was giving somewhere. We either wasn't doing everything that we could be for K9 Business Academy. You weren't concentrating fully on your dog training business. I wasn't concentrating fully on my dog training business. And there were cracks appearing everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're still desperately trying to hold on to everything and go, right, let's just plaster over these cracks and let's see how we can make it all work still, because they're all viable businesses and there's money coming in and there's that safety net. And I remember, I think I was the one that proposed to you. I was like, why don't we just merge them together? And you do what you do best, which is not give me an answer. And then somehow weeks later,
it would go away.
We're still talking about, I'm like, so did we decide on anything?
Yeah.
To share with people what was going through your head. Because they're valid things. And again, everyone like experiences these things differently. So I think it's good to share.
Mm-hmm. Part of me was really excited to do that. So I was like, well, it does make sense, logical sense. And it's, imagine the duo, like what we could create to do between us. And then part of me was like, oh my God, I've built this business up for like, what was it, like 14 years at the time or something. And I've been through a lot with it. And like, it's been an emotional thing to get to this point. And it's my name and it's my brand and it's my everything. And what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work? Like, what if we don't work? All the what ifs, all the like fear around letting it go. And it's a lot to take that step to let these things go. Mm-hmm. And inevitably there were changes that, I don't know, it was even just the merging of the clients together.
Yeah, you were really hesitant on that.
Yeah, I wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was thinking of like, how is that going to be? Because when we started crossing over, like me working with some of your clients and you working with some of mine, I was just like, oh God, but they've had me for so long and now they're going to have you, and yours have had you and now they're going to have me. I was thinking about it from, I suppose, a client continuity perspective as well. How are they going to accept that? Rather than thinking about it as like, it's fresh eyes, it's someone else has got different perspective and skill set that might come to the table. I was like, oh God, but they're going to think this is really bad because now all of a sudden there's this different person in there. And I remember when we were doing the group stuff together and like going, how does this look for them? And actually, those fears like went straight away because I was like, actually, it's a good thing for them. But again, it's that initial like worry about it. And so I suppose that was my main concern. But actually, we did end up doing a little bit of work for each other whilst we'd still got the separate businesses anyway.
Yeah.
So kind of dipped our toes into it gently.
Yeah. I like to test things really quickly and I know straight away if I want to do it or not.
But that was the first indicator of going like, you do it like that and I have to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Before I'm all in.
Yeah. I would say out of everything, I wonder if you would agree. I think that has been our biggest challenge. I don't feel like it's there anymore.
No.
But
for a very diluted version.
Yeah. But for a very, I suppose in the grand scheme of things, like it was a good 6 to 8 months, I'd say that was a challenge, like a big challenge for both of us to go, oh. And it's ridiculous when you look at it in one lens, isn't it? Because we both want the same thing. We're both doing this. One's just trying to move it quicker and one keeps pumping the brakes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like how are we ever going to move it forward if the brakes are always on and the accelerator's going as well? Wheel spinning, quite literally.
Yeah.
Burnouts.
But not in a burnout sense.
Yeah.
It was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So how did you cope then during that time? Like what were your thoughts and feelings on? How did you work through it?
I suppose we kind of did a bit of role play between us in some scenarios of like, okay, let's imagine almost like the worst case scenario thing happens. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, what if this? What if that? What if it doesn't work out? It's like, okay, let's play it out. If it doesn't, now what? And I'm like, okay. What could we do about that then if the worst thing happens? How could, like, nothing is ever, there's no business police. I think it was that kind of thought process of going like, it can always revert back again. Worst case scenario. We can always do what we did before. And I was okay, yeah. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it did. And like the decisions, I suppose, to make, some massive ones, some big decisions had to be made. And I suppose for me, I'm like pulling back a bit because I'm like, there's a consequence to this if it doesn't work out. And I suppose like the investment in the podcast was like the pivotal one that we've talked about. And we talked about it earlier today here at the agency, but it's like, but then I don't know, it's the fear around that amount of money. It's the fear around taking the jump, but also like, do you wholeheartedly, I remember you asking me the question of like, do you wholeheartedly believe that we are going to put everything into K9 Business Academy to make it work and to see the stuff through that we know can happen? And I was like, well, yeah. Well, therefore that's it's a non-hesitation then, isn't it? Because we believe in ourselves that much that we know that investment is going to come back to us. I'm like, okay, right. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at it that way then. And that helped me. But the push and pull between us was like, I'd say it was quite a, I'm going to say it again, chasm. I feel like it needs to keep coming in now. A cataclysmic chasm of like difference. And I know you used to get frustrated with me. And I used to get scared of you because I know in a second you would do the thing. And I'm like, I'm not ready to do the thing. And almost felt a little bit of pressure of, is this how I've got to be now? Have I got to be the same as that?
Yeah, like change who you are.
Change who I am. And am I ready to do that? Am I ready to change? And I was like, no, because I'm never going to be you. And you're never going to be me. But what we did find is that middle ground between being able to look at something in a really objective way and go like, okay, so let's look at the pros of doing it, the cons of doing it, put yourself there, worst case scenario, and being able to work through that process. And I think for me, and then also for you to have to go through that process as well, because you had to, because I'm slowing you down anyway. So like almost inadvertently from my perspective anyway, you might say differently in a minute. I'm like going, it makes you actually assess that situation a little bit more than you maybe would have, and not make the wrong decision because you are somebody who acts really quickly. And I think I like to say that now we're at a place where we kind of know how long it's going to take each other. Well, you know how long it's going to take me now. And it's a lot less time than it used to be.
I love our journey though, because like it's really fun to look back on it in this sense, because we have gone through a lot, and I just think it's really interesting because from anybody who's watched us grow over the last 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is, part of me wonders, like, have we ever come across differently? Because I don't believe that we have externally. I believe that some people will have seen growth and stuff like that because they know us a bit more. But I think we've always been really good at holding that brand line and keeping the stuff, I say behind closed doors, but you know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to be aired publicly that all of this stuff is happening. Like it has to be the right decision for the business. And I think this is where we talk about detaching yourself from the business. Like to us, the business is the business. It's not Joe and Vicky. We are the brand of the business. Like we are the personality that's being injected into it. But that business is its own living, breathing ecosystem in itself. And all the actions that we take and make are to keep that entity going. So I think from that personality perspective of the journey you and I went through, there were times where we were like, fucking hell, but not one part of me, I believe it was the same for you, like ever doubted that we'd made the wrong decision.
No.
We just knew we had to work through this way of working.
Just a process to go through to get there.
Yeah. And what I'm actually really proud of is that we recognised it and we talked about it, and we knew we needed external help to help us through it. Almost a bit like a couples counsellor, essentially, because it's like, well, you're coming at it from two different places, and two different backgrounds and two different
experiences and beliefs and thoughts of
like
people around us.
There's so much stuff that was involved in it. And one of the big learnings for me was that I saw so much potential in you and knew that this was going to be an incredible thing that we could do. And that full belief and full faith actually hindered it, because in my head, I was like, you're going to pick this up really quickly. You're already doing it and you're smashing it, but you didn't have that belief in yourself. And then that's when the problems would arise, because I'm getting frustrated going like, fucking hell, like you can do this and you know this and you're doing it. Why can't you just get over it and do the thing? But then that realization, with support from external help again, to go, you're in different places. You want the same thing and you're the same person and you get on beautifully and you're a fantastic like partnership and everything, but you're in different places at the moment. I was like, fucking hell, that's hard to hear when you're business partners as well. And I imagine you would have felt the same, that it was hard to hear that we're in different places, but I think you were more aware of it than I was.
I was quite accepting of the fact that I'm way behind you in some respects, because you've been on that journey. Like I've hopped on and you were like way ahead of the destination, whereas I was like, oh, I need to try and catch up. But then there was that point where I was like, I need to catch up, I need to be Joe. And then I was like, no, I don't. And I don't want to be. Yeah. Because that's not who I am, and that's not how I'm built, and that's not what I think. It's nature nurture, isn't it, in everything? Yeah. Like think of dogs, think of people. I'm like, I don't think I'm just made like that. And as soon as I accepted that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not made like that. However, I do know that external things have influenced me to hold back probably more than I would like to. So therefore, I'm willing to explore those things and understand which things are valid and which things are not, and which things like I can not cut out, but almost like, yeah, I hear you, brain, but actually I don't need to listen to you at this point. I can just fast forward a little bit. And so like, I think I've just gotten really good at recognising what I need, and you know what I need sometimes. Well, you know all the time, but I'm like, yeah, Vicky's just got to go through this thing with herself. And then I know when she'll be ready, she'll be ready.
Yeah. And it is. And it has been a really cool journey, because I would do the same back to you, going like, oh, but look at all these things that you bring to the party, and I want to be more Vicky. And it's that, which is daft, isn't it? And we've spoken about this loads, and going like, but it doesn't work if I'm more you and you're more me. It works because you're you and I'm me.
Yeah, exactly that as well.
And the fact that it's just always been, I say easy. It has been easy. And this process bit, like, we wanted to work through it because everything else is so easy, if that makes sense. Like, it hasn't felt, oh, fucking hell, like I have to go through this work in order to make the business work, which sounds daft, because yes, that is true, but not in that hard way of like, you and I and our relationship is really easy and it's fun and it's all the stuff that makes everything else work. But that's the reason why we wanted to go peel those layers back and go, right, how can we make this work even more and make things work better?
Because the last thing we want to do is like butt heads in the way that if decisions need to be made or things need to happen, it's like, we don't want to butt heads about it. We need to understand each other's perspectives on it and then go like, yeah, okay. So we have accelerated things because we understand each other so much, and the processes. I think, let's give the example, and we won't give any detail around it, but a recent-ish event that happened where you wanted me to make a decision really quickly on something based on a tiny bit of information that was given, because the opportunity was that you could have a conversation with this person.
Yeah. I know which one you're on about.
And
now.
I couldn't be, I was away, wasn't I? I was away somewhere, and you were trying to get this thing locked in, and an opportunity arose that you could get it locked in. And all of a sudden I'm bombarded with all this stuff on like messages going like, here it is, we need to make a decision now. And I'm like, whoa, I can't, first of all, I'm away. I can't dedicate the time to it. And second of all, like, hang on a minute, we haven't spoken about this for a while. And then all of a sudden you're telling me I need to make a decision right now. I was like, how can I possibly do that? And then I'm like, but if I don't make that decision right now, we could lose that. But what if we make the wrong decision and we're in something that we actually don't want to be in because we haven't had a chance to have a conversation, and we can't have one because I'm not in a position to have that conversation right now. And I was having this internal dilemma with myself going, oh my God, what do I say? What do I do? I think I ignored it for a little bit as well. You know, as we've mentioned earlier, that's my way of going, hope it goes away. And
you
then,
do this more than I realise. And I know you do it. I'm like, fuck her. she's gone into an ostrich.
Yeah, I've just put my head in the sand. Do ostriches actually put their heads in sand?
I feel like they do. Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, like when the big scary threat comes, just stick their head in the ground. It's like, hope it goes away.
But is it sand or is it dirt?
Semantics.
Looking to Ryan for help. Anyway, regardless, I just was like, is it a thing, sand? Yes, that's what I did. And I was just like, oh God, I really don't know what to do here, because I know this could be really good for us. But at the same time, like, no, I can't.
Yeah, that was a really difficult situation because I knew that wasn't the right thing for you either. However,
you still did it to me.
Yeah, but however, for the business, I was like, it's the best fucking thing. And yeah, that frustration was like, oh, I know this isn't right for you and I don't want to do it. However, I'm more annoyed that we're not in a position where we can just go, I know that this is right and I'm going to make that decision. And the ironic thing is, we know it was the right decision and we know we could have done it, but we allowed this thing to play out between us and go like, oh, we spent too much time. Well, because we couldn't make that decision. But what came off the back of that is all the good stuff in going, okay, haven't lost it completely, but very aware that actually there are going to be times in business where stuff like that will come up because of the massive scale that we are operating at. And we're going, right, we need to be so fucking clear on what it is we want so that when stuff like that happens, because it's not a case of if, it's when it comes up, trust the other wholeheartedly to go, that's the right decision to put forward. So I think off the back of that, and again, just being open and being able to have this conversation. And I think what's kind of come to light with other business partners, not just in the dog world, that we've been able to speak to over these last 18 months, from my personal experience, I haven't come across anyone that I've spoken to within these last 18 months that are as open with each other as I think you and I are.
But I think it just, what it said to me, that experience, was we need to just keep having the conversations of what we are prepared to do for the business and what we're not prepared to do, and what our parameters are, and what our, not boundaries, I don't mean that, but like what's good for the business and what isn't. And I feel like regardless of our perspectives of it, it's like, get that clear, like every day that needs to get clearer and more refined and more transparent and more like, because then we can make those decisions. But I don't feel like at that time, even though it wasn't that long ago, I feel like we've come on even since then to be able to get clear, because we've now got another situation right now it's very similar.
Yeah.
And we're like, we know now that's the right thing to do. And we are just check this over before we put it forward. Yep. Okay. Done. Cool. And it's been much easier to do it. But again, it's that clarity on what it is we feel that is going to bring to the table, what it's going to do for us, what it's going to do for the other person, kind of joint venture wise. Like I think that's just that clarity again. It's just talking about it and going like, we are prepared to do this. We're not prepared to do that.
Yeah. And I think some of these transferable skills. So if you're listening and you're thinking, this isn't relevant for me, I don't have a business partner. You can do this with your clients as well. Because everything is that relationship. Like you are entering into a relationship with someone and you have to understand how they operate. We did an episode a while back with Andy Nizovich on disc profiling. And oh my God, we've become obsessed with disc.
I'd like to do a part 2 actually with Andy on that, because I feel like we could go deeper now. I understand more about it. I think it's, we could do more on that.
But like that's had a massive impact on us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And we're able to joke around it and go like, whoa, like that element of disc is flaring up here. But the awareness of going, actually, I think we've gone more even keel on everything now. I think 12 months ago, we were like polar opposite ends.
Well, look at that retreat we've just been on. We had comments from people saying like, you're more this and you're that. And we're like, what? That isn't how we used to be. But then on reflection, we immediately went, no, that's not right. Like you're not, somebody who makes decisions quickly and this, that and the other. And then we're like, actually, maybe in certain situations, a bit like dogs again, let's relate it to dog behaviour. And like when we say a dog is confident, is it always confident? Is it confident in every situation? No, it can be really confident with being handled, for example, but it may not be confident about going into new situations and noises, and like that might make a dog. So it's the same thing. It's like in that situation, Joe, you are more, like we won't go into the disc stuff now, but like you're more likely to act quickly and kind of have that motivation around it. Vicky isn't, but then in another one, it's completely different.
Yeah. And it's that bend and flex and different. And again, I think that comes from that growth and that awareness and going like, actually, because we've done that work on understanding our personality profiles, which has enabled us to work better with each other and going, oh, right, okay, that's how you operate. So that's not a Vicky-ism as such. That's not a Joe thing. That's that part of their personality stronger in that situation. Yeah. And again, it's being able to detach it from, it's not the person. The person's not being a dick. There's just part of their personality that is programmed to lean into this style of response instead of another. And you can change it if it's required. Like if it's not serving you, you can change it. And I think again, like a lot of our episodes recently, we've been talking about the amount of work that you have to do on yourself. And this is the deep work that we do on a regular basis. Like it never stops.
Yeah.
Well, I would say literally weekly we are doing this work.
Yeah.
Sometimes consciously, sometimes not so consciously, but...
Yeah, and I'd say that it even shows up in as much as when we're interviewed on someone's podcast, if we are, you know, like today we've been on stage talking about our journey with the podcast, we even know which bits of the story that the other needs to tell because they tell it better. They love it. I'm thinking of you with your figures and the money bit of it, because I know you love talking about that and I know that you do it more justice than I would. And then there's other bits of it that you go like, well, Vicky's great at telling that bit. And I love talking about that bit. So it's like we even know. And that's why when people say to us like, yeah, so for this podcast that we're going to interview you for, do you need to divvy up the bits? Like who's going to speak at what point? And we're like, no, we just know. Like we just know who's going to answer that question. Like we don't fight for it. We're just like, that's Joe's bit, that's Vicky's bit, and we just know.
And I think that's actually part of the magic that we've had from day one, though, because even without knowing all these personality profile bits back then, even without knowing the full ins and outs of all the isms that we both have, I love an ism. It's an underused word, an ism. Anyway, we didn't know all of that back then, but we naturally fell into this groove of it. We've never fought for the mic, so to speak. It's literally just been, oh yeah, it's just, which is why I think it works so well. But
that's how it's translated into the business side of it as well, because you've got your superpower in certain areas with our clients and they expect that from you. And then there's certain, and again, I went through that process of like, I need to be that. I need to be the person. And it's almost like a bit of offence at some points when like, people go like, oh, we speak to Joe about that because that's what we've done. I'm like, oh, am I no good at that then? And then I'm like, no, actually, you're really good at that other stuff as well.
And I have it on the opposite.
And you would go like, oh, they don't want to speak to me about that. They want to speak to you about it. But it was almost like that's how it translated into the business of going like, I'm really accepting now of like what I think that people need from me and what people need from you. And I don't feel offended and I don't feel like, you know, cast aside like an old sock. I'm like, I'm fine with it.
I really want to throw a sock at you.
I know you do. If there was a prop sock, it'd be thrown my way right now. But, you know, when you're just like, oh, I'm good with it. I'm comfortable with it. I'm like, I don't need to fight for anything.
Yeah, it's but yeah, like coming back to how you can transfer this to your clients, it's understanding what they need from you as well.
Ask them.
Yeah. Spend some time getting to know them. Like I know
you've asked me what I need before and I've asked you what like opposite. So absolutely it can be applied to clients.
It has to be like whoever you are working with. And the same if you're going to bring on staff, whether that's I don't know, like a VA or maybe another person to do the delivery of your job in whatever space that looks like. Have the conversation and go like, how do you best work? And actually, I think before you even have that conversation with that other person, you need to know yourself inside out. You need to know how you operate. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And those weaknesses, don't look at them like a bad thing. Just be aware of it and own it. I've said it to clients before, like in the dog training business we had, of going, I will talk a lot. I'm quite passionate about this thing and I never mean any offense, but I swear it's going to, and I just own it and go like, these are some of my flaws, but it'll be made up for like in passion and outcome and we'll have some great conversations. And like, oh, brilliant. I'm like, how works best for you then? So as part of this program, you will get 24/7 access to me. Do you want me to chase you every week? How do you feel about the accountability? What do you need from me? And how can I support you on this journey? And bring them into the fold, like, because if they can buy into the culture and the vision of your business as well, that's where you're going to get customers for life. This is where you're going to get real buy-in to you. This is where you'll stop getting pissed off with clients because it's not anything they are doing right or wrong. It's just their programming. And sometimes you need to bend and flex to change it. You only have to think about if you've, cast your mind back to a learning process like school. And if someone's asking you to do, like I always used to hate like all the creative classes. It's like, it's not a bone I have in my body. I'm not very good at it.
Oh, wow. We're so opposite.
Yeah, I know. But if I could sit there and write and read and do it, like I I learn better and I do better off of that. I remember the lecturer in the uni course I've just completed asking, how do you all best learn? And I was like, can you not just stand at the front and talk to me? Because I'm good with that. But that's all I've ever known. So that's my experience, as well as, oh, actually, is that the best way that I learn? And then other people were like, oh yeah, can we have some like crayons and stuff? And I'm like, what? Honestly, when this lecturer brought out fucking paper and glue sticks and
sugar paper,
I was like, what is this? I was like, in my head, I'm like, am I 5? I was like, what's wrong with a pen and paper and just listening to somebody talk? But that's my style. So I'm not right, I'm not wrong, nor is anybody else in that situation. We're just absorbing things differently. And the way that was structured was like, okay, do you know what? In all fairness, it's kind of working because you're getting the best of everything, theoretically. My opinion, it still could have been done better, and going like, okay, if you want to make it super personalised, and this is where you've got the opportunity to do that if you're working one-on-one. A bit harder in a group, but you can still try and be as inclusive as you possibly can on people's learning styles. But how are you going to do that if you've not spent the time in understanding your own and then how you operate?
And it's a little bit like we mentioned in another recent episode about expecting homework from clients. Have you asked them how they would best be, how that information would best be received and how they are most comfortable giving you that feedback? So it might not even be in a video form. It might be just, can you just send me a voice note, or can you just type out like what you found, positive, negative about doing that exercise that I set you? What have you struggled with? What have you found is beneficial? Just ask in a really succinct, summarised way, rather than like, let me know how it's... And people need guidance. People need step by step. Mm-hmm. That's one thing we've learned so much, isn't it? Like, you have to be super clear. Like even a testimonial, we will give a framework. Like, what is it? What's the information we want from you to be able to help somebody else have the confidence to know that that might be the right thing for them as well? Like, what questions do we need to ask you so that we get that information? Because if we're just going like, can you tell us about your experience of working with us at Canine Business Academy? Could be any old thing, really, couldn't it? Could go off in all sorts of tangents and lots of irrelevant information that we don't actually need. We're like, we want you to tell us this, this and this.
Yeah.
And that's going to help that person potentially make a decision.
I was thinking that when you were saying that we all, and we do all do it, we all ask people to do the homework. And even the thought of doing homework for some people could have like a really negative
school type scenario.
It's like, oh God, like I just going to avoid it like the plague.
Put it off, put it off, put it off.
Yeah. So of course they don't do it. But again, it's like asking someone, because I used to hate it, again, using that uni example that I've just recently gone through. If there was ever an assignment due in, or like you had to go and read this paper and then write it up, and then I was like, what's the purpose? And I would question it, because I was brave enough to do it, because I'm a mature student now. I'm not a little whippersnapper. And I'd question it, like, what's the purpose? Not to be like
not facetious
argumentative
or
anything like that. It's just like, what is the purpose? Because for me, I don't see the point. I don't understand how that's going to benefit me. Now, if you can give me a great answer back, brilliant, I'll do it. But actually, like, what is the purpose in that? Is there not a better way that I could communicate to you that I understand that?
Yeah, and actually, I just suddenly thought of something. We talk about jargon, like as professionals, we use jargony words without even realising it, because we're so in it. Are you asking your clients to do something they don't understand because of the jargon you're using? And it could be the same with school. Like, sometimes an assignment might have words and phrases in it that you're not sure about, or you might have heard it once, but you didn't feel brave enough to put your hand up at school and ask what that meant. And can you explain it? Because we all think we're going to look an idiot. And therefore we're like, put it off, because I don't really understand what I'm being asked to do. And could that be the same for clients? And I know we're kind of crossing over a little bit into, what we were talking about in the recent episode, but I feel like it's relevant, because if we don't understand each other and that partnership isn't how we envision it to be, look at why that could possibly be. Look at the language you're using. Look at the way, are you telling somebody, or are you actually asking them? you know, what's kind of, are you using open questions? Are you using closed? Like I pull myself up on asking better questions by the way I frame it, and what I'm asking somebody is what I'm expecting back. And if I'm asking a very closed question, a yes or no answer, that's what I'm going to get back. So it's those kinds of things make a great partnership that's going to last. And same with staff coming on. Like we've done it with, you know, Isla's coming on board with us, and we're going like, what do you need from us? Like, what can we be doing that helps you? What are you, what is your superpower? Like, you know, tell us how you work best. Tell us what, you know, you need basically. How are we going to know? Like if we set a task and we're expecting it to be completed, but we're not asking those kind of questions, that's on us.
Yeah. It's easily done, isn't it? I've definitely done this before, being in managerial roles where I've gone like, right, this is what you need to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what are they going to say? No, it doesn't. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah. And then what you get back is shit. I'm like, that's not what I asked for. And you get annoyed at them, and it's like, well, hold on. That's on me.
Mm.
Because I've taught it in a way that I feel I would understand it. And because I would say, if I didn't, I go like, oh no, that doesn't make sense. I expect somebody to do the same previously, past life.
Yeah.
But this is where, again, like having to do that work on yourself and really, you don't realise just how much work that is involved on yourself, do you? Like,
but yeah, it's even a simple question like, I've got this idea. Are you in agreement with it? So I've got this idea. Are you good with it? Could be one question. Or I've got this idea. What are your thoughts on it? Like those are two very different ways of approaching it. And like that between ourselves, that's kind of like the difference between someone saying, yeah, I'm good with it, but I don't really understand it, but don't feel like I can say. Now, I could say it to you, but there are some circumstances where somebody might not feel comfortable versus what are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about it? Like what else do you need?
Yeah.
For us to make a decision on this.
Yeah.
Those are much better ways of framing it.
I was thinking of an example actually from this morning where I was asking you to look over a document and your response back to me was like, yeah, but I don't understand that bit. Now, in a past life, I know I would have gone, like internally, wouldn't have come out. Internally, I'd have gone, what do you mean you don't understand it?
Are you thick?
I wouldn't have thought that.
How do you not understand it?
But that frustration bit kicks in because in my head, I was like, I've spent fucking hours on that trying to make it as clear as possible. And do you know what I mean? Like you can only do what you can do. So I reached my level of, I genuinely don't know how to make it any clearer. But instead of that coming out as frustration, I was like, okay, cool. What would you do to make that better? In a genuine, like, what would you do? Because I've reached the end of my capacity with it. I don't know how. You could ask me to go and make it clearer, but I don't know how to do that. So I need your brain to look at it and go, make it work for you. And again, it's that conversation bit of like, I'm not making you wrong or right. You're not making me wrong or right. It's just going, from my perspective, I don't understand it. I'm going, from my perspective, you're an idiot. Like I don't understand how you can't get it, but without the aggressiveness behind it. But being able again to go, okay, what needs to happen then to make that clearer? Because actually it's a really valid point. Like I could talk to you until the cows come home and say, well, this is what it is. But actually, if it's not clear to you, then it's likely not going to be clear to somebody else. So let's see how we can do it. And then I've overdone it and I've asked about 50 million people to look at it and go, like, what do you think? But again, historically, I'd have just sent it. And that would have gone out like 24 hours ago. But instead, it's like, it's pausing. Now, it's still in a nice time frame for me because I've been able to do it in a day rather than it take weeks. I think that's been a good growth thing for us, that we can go through this process back and forth a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still getting what you need. I'm still getting the result in that shorter time frame. And then also switching sides in some scenarios where we're going like, oh, wait, hold on. I'm so thoughtful about all the things that I've learned from you over the last year about hitting the brakes a bit. And vice versa, you've learnt loads from me of like speeding up, that in some situations with it polar opposite now. And you'll be going, come on then, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, what? Really? Are you sure? Like, what? But this is that example of growth and being open and being in a safe position with each other to be able to say, like, I'm really struggling with this.
Yeah.
Like, I need your help to help me understand because I don't get it. And I feel like you're better suited to that, not in a palm off, I don't want to do it way. And then sometimes exploring that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of letting it be like potentially an excuse.
Yeah, help me understand it because I want to understand it and I want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I can't at the moment, but I'd like to know how I
Yeah.
can.
And instead of doing that frustration bit of either which way, you're like, oh, why? I don't understand why you just can't do it.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it goes the other way where you'll say something and I'll be like, yeah, I get it, but I just don't think that our audience might not understand that, or our clients might not understand it, or they might need a bit more time to, I don't know, I'll look at it from my like old days of how I used to view things and how I used to look at things and go like, I'm not sure that they would get that like that. And you'll go like, it's a fair point actually. Like I'd forgotten because we've moved on so much that I think I'm probably quite good at going like, hang on a sec. Like, old hat, like take this new version of Vicky off and put the old hat on and go like, and this isn't derogatory to anybody out there, it's just like that's the journey I've been on, but I can remember how it felt and I can put myself in that place. And I'm not saying I'm you listening, but I've got a good idea of the thoughts because of the research we do and because of the experiences we had back then, is to go like, I'm not sure they're ready for that yet, so let's just hold off a little bit with that, or let's just come at it from a slightly different angle and let's ease them in a bit more gently. Maybe that's and you'll go like, yeah, okay, I hadn't considered that. So I think it kind of works really well in both respects.
Yeah.
Another thing I will say on partnership bits is, I think for us, we've realised the beauty of spending longer amounts of time together, because back in those earlier days when everything went crazy and CBA was like, oh my God, it started to work. Like we're helping all these people and they're coming on board and they're seeing it. Oh, amazing. Jamming ourselves out with appointments to the point where like going from lots of one-to-one stuff to more group stuff, having a bit of breathing space. It's the right thing for the audience. It's the right thing for the clients. Not only that, we've put time aside for us, because every time we spend days, like now we're at the podcast studio, we've got time in the car before it and after it, and we're staying over and we've got time to chat in between. And definitely when we went to Boston recently and we had that flight of like 7 hours to do stuff and talk about stuff and actually action it, not just talk about it, but talk about it and do it. Like we know that that's what we need more of. So we decided to put days aside for it and have them as, this is going to move the business. Okay, it's not us working in the business. It's working on the business to go, what can we do here to utilise this time so we can stop with the back and forth voice notes in between life and just go like, we've got these hours where we can just chat it through, have this whole process of whatever we both need to make a decision, make the decision, do the thing, it's done. And like for us, that has accelerated everything recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's powerful. So I think, yeah, it's a necessity to put that time aside.
Yeah, as much as it might be painful to go like, we're not doing the things in the business, that's making the business, yeah, it's moving it forward more than any other thing.
Yeah. This is that complicated dance, isn't it, where you could go the opposite and you could lean in too much on spending all this time together and talking about stuff and implementing stuff that's not actually growing anywhere. I think it could go too extreme into, I'm going to implement maybe not the right things, and because I'm spending and now I'm overthinking like the relationship, and it's like it is that dance that you have to learn how to do it, and you're only going to learn how to do it by doing the fucking thing in the first place. But yeah, just really understanding this is important, that's important. And hey, this is the joy of being a business owner, wearing all the hats, because yes, you've got to work on your relationship, whether that's with a business partner, whether it's with staff, whether it's with your clients. You have to make that a priority. You have to be working on yourself and really understanding who you are, what your flaws are, what your strengths are, what your blockers are, like all that stuff, because that's going to massively impact everything that you do. Then you've got your sales hat and your marketing hat and your accounting hat and all the stuff that then suddenly makes a small business owner go, fucking hell, like I don't want this. This is too much. But for those of you that are listening that are going, I love the sound of all of that, then I know you will make this work, because it's fun. And as much as it does sound overwhelming and it's like, okay, now it's a lot of hard work just to make some cash. It is. It really is. And it should be this hard. That's why not everybody's doing it. But it is good fun. And it's one of my favourite parts about being a business owner is exploring. You look like a rabbit then, doing a little twitchy face.
Right.
It's one of my favourite things about being a business owner, that you get to really explore yourself. just pulling really weird faces at me now. It's not working well.
You just made me think of a rabbit, that's all.
I have to go and watch the YouTube version to see all those little faces.
Watch it.
Anything else to add?
I think that's it. I think that's it. I think we've covered a lot in there. And actually that conversation went a lot, not deeper, but it covered quite a few different areas of it, I think, than more so than I thought we would. So I'm happy.
It's an us chat. Who knows where it's going to go?
Exactly that.
Yeah.